Hi everyone! Last week I received a special request regarding this pair of earrings, a front-facing circle stud. A while ago I have shown you how to make this exact pair in gold filled. So you're welcome to go back and watch that if you are new to my channel. This is the bigger version. It's in 2.2 centimeter diameter. Uh, and here is the comparison between the two. Let me put them together side by side for you to see it. 13, 2.2. Well, no. 1322 in millimeters and 1.3 and 2.2 in centimeters. So why are we talking about this? Well, I have a client who liked the style and she wanted to have the same front-facing style but in a larger diameter. So we agreed to have it in 3 centimeter, which is 30 millimeters. And to explore different options, I'm making two versions. One with a 1 millimeter wire, which is 18 gauge, and the second one is with the 16 gauge, which is 1.3 millimeters. Why do I decide to do this? I don't know, but I feel like it's an experience, and every time I receive a request, I try to offer more than one option to my client so that the person can have the choice. I have been wanting to make this for a while, so this is the occasion. Will using different wire gauge affect the overall look and feel for this earring? Let's find out together.
The first pair I'm going to make is the one with 18 gauge wire. Using a simple formula to find the circumference of a circle, the wire needed to be approximately 9.5 centimeter. If you have watched my other video, you may recognize this beautiful oil bottle. Yes, it is used to make a hoop instead of a mandrel. If you're curious of what I'm talking about, I invite you to check out that video. The card should appear on the top right of your screen. Now I have my circle. It should be around 3 centimeter in diameter. It's fine if it's slightly smaller as it will be flattened, causing the width to expand. So I have this leftover of 5 millimeter extra. I'm going to cut it off using the wire cutter, and then I will save the cutout for recycling. In order to solder the two ends of the circle together, filing the border flat is essential. If you don't have a power tool, a simple needle file works just as well. And right now, I'm applying pressure between the ends to create a slight tension that will hold them together despite the heat. To ensure that the edges meet perfectly, I'm using this DIY trick I've used before. Check out my other video on bezel setting for details. This involves using a nail file. The circle looks good to me right now, but it doesn't need to be perfect at this stage. You can always refine the shape after soldering and pickling. I'm marking the gap so I can easily identify it for soldering later. Moving on to the second piece, which is in 16 gauge. I'm pretty sure that I need less wire, but I will just cut it at 9.5 centimeter just in case. Using the same bottle, I'm forming a circle. It's harder to bend and it's expected because the thicker the wire is, the harder it is to manipulate. I'm measuring the diameter here. It says 28 millimeter. It's okay because eventually this circle will be slightly flattened. Thus, the width will definitely expand. This leftover wire will be safe for the recycling bin. Okay, before filing the edges for the two ends meet, I really need to make sure that it meets completely at 180 degrees. So forming the circle back with the help of ring pliers help to make it really circle. And now I can file it off. Like I said earlier, if you don't have the Dremel or the power tool yet, you can always file it off with needle file. I'm marking the gap with Sharpie for easier to locate later. Now this is 20 gauge wire. I'm cutting two pieces of 1 centimeter for the stud of each of these earrings. And I'm just going to put it together like this, and I'm filing the edges flat. For soldering, I'm using old-fashioned borax dish with borax stone for flux. So I'm collecting the white paste and apply it generously onto the circles and the post. Moving on, here is my setup. I have two circles lying flat on the soldering block with the stud placed perpendicularly on top of the gap using cross-lock tweezers. Let's look at it closely. On the right side, one tweezer is mounted on the third eye, and on the left side, it is weighted using this metal cylinder. Placing the solder chip against the area where it needs to be joined. Other option is to place it below the circle. And fire! Do you see that the bubble is forming? It is the chemical reaction of the borax, which is typically protects the silver from oxidizing. Soldering the thicker piece will take longer to melt than the thinner one. However, the risk of burning is lower on the bigger pieces than the small pieces. After quenching with water, I am putting these two straight into the warm pickle solution. Let's take a look at the result. The circle stud made from 18 gauge wire are a bit uneven, so I'm shaping them with flat nose pliers. And since they've just come out of the solder and pickle, they're really soft. And I was curious about how in my previous video when I made the hexagonal pendant, you can check it out here. Anyway, Lou 8078 provided the perfect answer, which is the heating that softens the metal. Back to fixing the circle, I'm smoothing the curve by rubbing the inner circle against the ring mandrel. And in order to eliminate any stubborn bumps, you can gently tap them with a wooden mallet. I'm rubbing the wire back and forth on the mandrel to help smooth the circle. Guys, what's not to love about this DIY trick? And lastly, my daughter lent me her plastic ruler that allows her to draw a circle without the compass. I just want to make sure that my circle is perfect and the naughty bump, especially the one next to the stud, is smoothened out. If you have adequate tools, you wouldn't need to go through all these complicated steps, but who here actually has a perfect set of tools to work with? I don't, but this won't stop me from making it happen. And hopefully it will not stop you either. Next step, the hammering. Take a good hammer with a smooth head and slowly hammer flat. It will give a good texture to the hoops. You can skip this step if you don't want it textured. I also harden the ear post by gently hammering it with wooden mallet. While you can twist the wire to harden it immediately, I personally prefer to just use the wooden mallet. Moving on to the 16 gauge front facing stud, this guy is even more distorted than the previous one. I'm going to use the same technique, which is rubbing it off the mandrel, but this time I will use more of the wooden mallet to take most of these uneven bumps. The key is to focus on hitting just one spot. I've managed to eliminate that bump. Before confirming, I'm checking it with the ruler here. Yup, they're looking good. Right now, my next challenge is to remove the excess solder. I might have used too large of a solder chip earlier. That's a possibility. So I'm going to use this grinding stone. I still don't know the name of this bit. If you do, please let me know in the comment below. And after testing it on the other project, I can tell you for sure that this is pretty abrasive. So I'm going to use this to eliminate most of the unwanted hardened solder. The next process is the same as the previous one, which is hammering to give a texture and flatten a bit so the diameter can be 3 centimeter. And fast forward to the result of these two hoops side by side. Can you guess which one is which? Alright, let's polish these to a shine. I'm going to use ZEM compound, which I love. It consists of aluminum oxide and chromium oxide, giving it the green color. If you have a red rouge, it's also fantastic for polishing, especially on the softer metals like gold or even this silver. Maybe I will try the rouge Dialux next time to compare the result, but that will be for another project. Guys, this is it. The right hand side is the thicker wire and the left hand is the thinner one. Let's see how it looks when worn. First, here is the 16 gauge wire. You can see the texture more clearly with this thickness, which add a nice visual interest. It's also noticeably heavier than the thinner wires, giving it a more substantial feel when worn. Next, here we have the 18 gauge wire. The larger appearance is due to the increased space inside the circumference, giving it a more open and airy look compared to the thicker wire. It's much more comfortable to wear for extended period thanks to the lightweight. And additionally, the texture on this piece is more subtle, providing a delicate finish that enhances its elegance without being overpowering. This combination of lightness and subtle texture makes it a perfect choice for those who prefer a more understated style. So now you know which one I like.
And there you have it, two pairs of 3 centimeter diameter earrings, one in 18 gauge and the other one is in 16 gauge wire. At the first glance, they appear almost identical, but up close, I like this one better. Is the 18 gauge. It's curvier. I feel like it has like a more airy look and it's more voluminous. The pictures and the videos has been sent to the customer, but I haven't heard from her back. Well, I'm going to take things on the positive side and think that maybe it takes longer. So, as for you, which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more jewelry making videos. I'm C from CBJU Studio Diaries. Until next time. Bye bye.